Welcome to the High Fae Housewives podcast. I'm Blakely.
And I'm Kylie.
We're currently working towards our Maasters in the Maasverse. Our current course is focused on A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book of Sarah J. Maas's ACOTAR series. We will cover this book in 3 parts, and today we are discussing chapters 1 through 23. You can expect a spoiler-free summary at the top of the episode, and then we're going to break it down with our theories and connect it with the rest of the Maasverse.
We will have spoilers for Throne of Glass and Crescent City as we tie things in. We will only have spoilers for the current ACOTAR, and the previous, that we are chit-chatting about. Warning, while we may be your silly gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things. Now relax those shoulders, unclench those jaws, clench that clam, and let's get into it.
Previously in Prythian, chapters 1 through 23. 3 months post Under the Mountain, Feyre is on the struggle bus with her High Fae life. She spends most of her nights being plagued by nightmares and throwing up in the porcelain throne. Tamlin and her are banging, but they ain't talking. He called his friend Ianthe, a High Priestess, to come and help out over at the court. She's helping Feyre get used to her new life by explaining etiquette and planning her wedding. Oh yeah, and Tamlin proposed, and they're getting married in a couple weeks. Feyre is definitely feeling stifled. Tamlin won't let her do a damn thing because of the optics, as well as he's feeling hella worried for her safety. Lulu isn't helping her much either. Ianthe's up her ass, and Feyre's mental health is equivalent to her watery bowels. Shitty. On her wedding day, she's dressed in a hideous dress while walking down the aisle. She panics and begs for someone to save her. Guess who does? Rhysy boy. And Tamlin barely puts up a fight. He winnows her away to the night court, and surprise, surprise, it's beautiful and not at all scary place that she imagined. He wants her to work with him, but is giving 0 details on what that would even mean. So while he waits for a decision, he asks her to learn how to read and train her mental shields. On top of her lessons, he spills the tea of Hybern and his suspicions that war is coming. He wants her to be the go-between between him and Tamlin to plan for war. He also needs her hunting skill set for something top secret, and he thinks she's special. It seems like Feyre Darling may have the power of all 7 High Lords, and he wants her to master them. He left her alone for most of the week, and then on the last day, he took her home. Feyre arrived back from Spring Court to a trash study, and Tamlin demanding a play-by-play every time in the Night Court. Tamlin and Lucien both think it's possible she has the other High Lord's power, but Tam doesn't want her to train because optics. Tamlin gives Feyre the ick with his tide performance, and she gave the Porzy water race her jewels. He was big mad. They fought. The room exploded because of his stupid-ass temper. Time to go back to the Night Court. Rhys seems hella concerned because she seems malnourished and tired, but he left her alone most of the week anyways. But when he returned, he begged her to let him help. Feyre brushed it off, back to the Spring Court, where the guards were back in full force. New powers kept popping up, and they still wouldn't allow her to train. Tamlin trapped her in the house. She lost her shit. Mor saved her and took her to Rhys, who took her to the Night Court. Rhys has to go away, but Feyre doesn't want to be left alone. Rhys agrees to take Feyre with them as long as she promises not to tell the Spring Court what she sees. Feyre travels to Velaris, meets the Inner Circle, and after hearing their lore and digging their casual vibe, she agrees to work with Rhys and the Court of Dreams. Rhys immediately starts filling them all in. I wish she was filling me in. That Hybern is about to wage a war and resurrect Jurian to do it. The first task is to have a little kiki with the Bone Carver. First attempt to go to prison was a fail. Next attempt, Feyre felt better because Amren gave her a necklace that is said to protect her. They got the answers they needed from the Bone Carver, who is in fact a character. Hybern has the Cauldron and does in fact want to wage war. They will need to get the Book of Breathings, and surprise, surprise, Feyre baby should be able to detect it. But Rhys wants her to test first. Test her by being able to find a ring at the Weaver's cottage. Feyre also got a new title, Emissary to the Human Lands, because they're going to need to get the other half of the Book of the Breathings from the Mortal Queens. So, Feyre first must get Rhys's ring from the Weaver's cottage. She's successful, but almost dies. After flirting with Rhys and a heart-to-heart with Mor, as cast, Rhys and Feyre head to the Human Lands, and Feyre tells her sisters all that's happened. And then she asks them to be a base to meet the Mortal Queens. Elaine has news of her own. She's getting married. Elaine sends everyone away, and they agree to meet her Fae friends. That's what happens.
No.
Okay.
Elaine actually is the star of the story.
Super interesting person.
You know, part 1's described appropriately, House of Beasts, because Ianthe lives there. Ianthe. I don't even care enough to say her name right. She's just such a fucking loser.
Doesn't deserve it. Ianthe.
I think starting off talking about high priestesses and that wench is a good place. I think it's so interesting how their magic is described. Their magic is drawn from their ceremonies and could be utterly lethal should they choose it. Feyre watched her being Ianthe, on the winter solstice for any signs of it, but there had been no ripple or thrum of power from her or the earth beneath them. And it makes me think about Jessica's Archesian amulet. I almost said mullet. They first belonged to the librarian priestesses of Parthos and were imbued with Midgard's innate magic, the very oldest, the sort every world has for those who know where to look. How do they draw from Prithian's rich magic? Like, what capabilities do these ceremonies actually grant them? Which makes me wonder, who are they in cahoots with?
I think the high priestesses are Venom, and that's the only thing that makes sense to me. I don't know. And then there's like this part of me like, does she even really have magic? Is she a fake? Is she a phony?
It makes me think, like I said, like about Jessica. Could
Yeah.
Jessica draw magic? Like, where are they drawing this magic from? What does that look like? I don't think Ianthe like has anything special about her, dumb bitch.
Yeah, no, she's and I always pictured her with dark hair. I didn't realize she was a blonde.
I pictured her blonde immediately because she is, but
But but so this is one of those instances where I actually picture something, which I don't most of the time. And yeah, no, she's got dark hair in my head. You're about to think somebody else that is a blonde instead of dark hair. So it's weird.
can't get any of this hair right, but I did get hers for once.
I mean, we also picture the three Archeron sisters with different hair colors than they have. So we're really just like, nay, we don't want it.
No, Elaine has blonde hair forever.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That
just
sounds black hair to me.
Elaine is a blonde hair name.
It is. There's certain name. You think Cassie's a blonde hair name. So then, of course, Cassian would be a blonde to you.
We'll get into that, but
Yeah.
you're on something. You're onto something. But back to the priestesses. I think it's interesting that there's 7 territories with 7 high lords, but there's 12 priestesses. I just want to remind everybody that there are 12 gods that Aelin banished, and they banished to Prithian, and there was like a priestess for each god, which we will get into this more. But Ianthe puts on her hood, and it's the voice of the cauldron. I'd found the image unsettling that merely covering the upper part of her face had somehow turned to this bright, cunning female into a, what is it, effigy?
Hmm.
Right? Into an effigy, into something other capital O. The only time we've seen something other capital O when was Irene was working on Kale's blown out back thanks to the Valg. The Valg and Kale just had an intimate relationship.
Well,
Kale sucks. I stand by it. But did the hood situation on the high priestess fit turning to something other capital O because there is something wrong with the cauldron, or is it just something wrong with Ianthe?
I think that Ianthe is a voice actor because we have the voice of the cauldron. I think she just does it uh, differently. And then I can talk about, remember when I said at the end of the last one, I think there's a case that the person that was talking to the ACOTAR could be Ianthe and just did a guttural voice and had some type of glamour or something. What if she's just this crazy voice actor and is just changing her voice willy-nilly so people think that she's special?
Because, yeah, there's no way she's like a true high priestess, because I think that those 12 high priestesses actually have to do with those 12 gods that were banished. And like I said, we'll get more into it, but I don't think Ianthe's one of them.
No, and they say that they don't like Ianthe, and that's probably because they know she's a fake and a phony.
Maybe she actually did have dark hair, but she dyes it blonde, and so they like don't like fake hair.
That's probably what it is.
She got her hair from big weaves. So Ianthe is first described like this. She was the heart of her people, ordained by the hand of the goddess to lead them from despair and darkness. Hand of the Goddess has been mentioned before in the prologue of Kingdom of Ash titled The Princess. It says, she did not feel the warm hand of the goddess who had blessed and damned her with such terrible power. But the H in hand and the G in goddess were not capitalized here. But who is this goddess mentioned? I have a lot of questions about who they worship, and I want to plant that seed now, but we'll get into that one later.
I've Yeah, like with Aelin, it feels like Mala, but like Ianthe does not give Mala energy at all for that goddess.
So, okay, so Ianthe's family is mostly in the spring court, so I wonder what that temple is associated with, but we'll get more into that, but interesting.
Yeah.
What
Can't say.
goddess is it?
Yeah.
Side note, I think it might be Mala.
Do you?
Because because if we're thinking like Terrasen with Aelin.
Well, and with I said in the first book where I felt like something came out of the white power rage, it was giving Mala energy towards Feyre, like helping her out. So that would be Mala's lands, which could make sense.
Yeah, so that's
It could be. I think okay. It could very much be Mala is that in Spring Court,
right.
but Ianthe does not have that power.
Correct, because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think that's where I would like, I guess between you and I don't think she was ordained by that hand of the goddess because it was mentioned, and so that's why I was like thinking it's Mala. Like this was another tie to it. So we can reference that later, but
I mean, I don't even think that's bad.
but once again, Anthe's family has ties with Tamlin and Tammy has ties with Hybern. There's no red flags about how Anthe escaped or Amarantha's unscathed. It's a lot of big words with
A
random
lot of
letters.
long mm-hmm.
They went to Valhallan, one of the countless fairy territories across the ocean. It just seems too convenient.
I don't believe for one fucking second that her father sensed it. No, he was tipped off by Hybern. And maybe it wasn't Ianthe talking with her super cool, different voice actor voices. Maybe it was her dad.
Ooh. Because
Because,
they're
comes
definitely
back to the Spring Court and is working with the soldiers. What does he say when he's with the Adder? The Hybern soldiers told me this.
you know what? That's canon to me at this point.
I feel like that one makes the most sense.
I'm gonna take that and we're gonna run with that one.
Okay, great.
Speaking of Tamlin and being shitty, when people can't make the tithe, why are high priestesses the ones that grant Tamlin sacred hunting rights? We'll talk more about the Wild Hunt and ACOTAR and Silver Flame, but like that's weird.
Yeah, because we know that there was a tithe of sorts in Asteria. I'm not getting any too far into this, but just with the high priestesses who they allegedly worship, these goddesses, and the Asteri, there's things to think about right there.
I mentioned during our Crescent City coverage, like, was Tamlin inspired by them? Well, his family.
I think his family definitely was. He saw what they were doing. He was like, yeah, this is how it's done. But I think there's arguments to be had with the Asteri and the goddesses.
I think they keep the tithe up over time for tradition to keep them in line, but I think the tithe for them actually changed over time. I think that they used to offer it more. Yeah.
I agree. I think it is definitely an inspiration thing. And they're like, well, they did that. That's how you keep your power. Like Tamlin's family is just shitty.
Yeah. Can't wait to get more into that later. Literally, next book. We keep saying that with everything, but everything builds in these stories.
Yeah. So just know, we know that there's more to talk about. We just have to wait.
We really see Tamlin's second face in this book. So, at what point in this do you think people who still were Team Tamlin after Under the Mountain were like, ugh, I made a bad choice? I feel like it had to be right off the bat. Like when nothing was safe for Feyre, the intensity of how he went overboard is felt immediately, and it puts a bad taste like in your mouth from at least for me. Not that I was Team Tamlin at all, but like, whoops doodle.
Tamlin's very triggering for me with past relationships. So I don't get how one would continue to still support him, but he does have supporters out in the interwebs, which is crazy to me. But like some people will just ride for a politician and dig their heels in regardless of what's happening. I feel like that's Tamlin supporters. Like
Just blind leading the blind.
he shows that he does not really care about her that much. I don't even
No,
think like, he cares too much, which is like, no, he doesn't.
no. God, low energy guy. Low energy.
Like, what a loser.
Low energy everywhere. Like, well, you know what? He has high energy when he's fucking Feyre because that's all they do is they fuck. They don't make love in this club.
No, I think their fucking actually just reminds me of like her and Isaac Hale. Like, it's just a release, a way to feel something other than like darkness and despair. Like, it's not, it doesn't feel fun.
I don't think he even like actively helps her orgasm. I think like if she gets there, he's like, cool, but like it's for him,
Yes, I definitely.
not a
He's
giver.
no, and
Take,
like
take, take.
she says like that comment when they get in the fight, like he apologized and worshipped her body. Like I think that that's rare. Like he really turned on the charm to try to like not make her mad and like be in her good graces. But I think he's a selfish lover.
I do too. I wonder if he lets like a little bit of his fur come out on his back. So she's got like something to grab onto. Reins.
That's a sight. Or never mind.
Throws out, he lets his horns loose and she's like, yeah.
I just pictured writing some.
Motorcycle.
Yeah, yeah. I just pictured that.
Wah, wah, wah. Oh my God, it's you on a jet ski all over again.
Oh, here we go. See, I could never.
I don't know. Why is that that was the noise you made. And I just made it, but not quite the same because we are different.
We are. I like I really try to put my brain in other people's shoes, like trying to think of how Tamlin is reacting to all of this. And it's just so stupid, all of it. Like I just can't even try to defend him. Like
No.
I don't get it. And then it makes me want to talk about our boy Lulu. What are your thoughts on how Lulu treated Feyre and handled the Tamlin situation?
He did all that he could because he's bound to his high lord. I mean, he's not saying my high lord like Feyre, but
Right.
imagine if he was. Lulu's like, my high lord.
Gross.
With his one eye.
I think in the last 50 years, Lulu probably saw a side of Tamlin that he wasn't impressed with. Between like sitting on his ass, truly, for 50 years and not doing much, and then under the mountain, not doing anything. And then he's literally watching Feyre just wither away.
But he's loyal to Tamlin because, like, Tamlin did him a solid with the whole eye situation, you know? And he took him into his court. So he's, like, loyal to him. But, you know, two things can be true. Tamlin was shitty, but he was also good to Lucien.
When Feyre accidentally like slips into Lulu's brain, she describes it a pattern of thinking and feeling that was old and clever and sad, so endlessly sad and guilt-ridden, hopeless. And then later, when she's telling Rhys that she accidentally did that, he's like, "What a miserable place to be." Lucian's brain, like, is he just the sad sack because of his Porsy girl being killed? Like, why is he so sad?
Well, okay, we have to actually think about Lucien for a second. Like, he has it so shitty. Like,
Yeah,
his brothers are awful to him. He lost his lover. He lives in a different court. I mean, like, his mom's cool. His dad's a dick. Dad's not even a hottie. Yuck.
and then like Tamlin's sucking and he knows it. Lulu knows.
Lulu being sad really makes sense because, like, what joy does he have? He's watching his friends die for the past 50 years. Like, Amy was running loose.
Mm-hmm. And like I get it. He's hella sarcastic and like witty. It's all a mask. No pun intended. But like I still have so many questions about like, why does Rhys have such a negative feeling towards Lulu? Like, what did he do or what does he know that Lucien's done? Like the fox? It's still going back to Lucien said, you'll soon find out all I've been up to.
I think we have to hold on to that information, which, like, this isn't a spoiler by any means, but we need to keep a pulse check on the fact that he's referenced as a fox. He had the fox mask, and, like, you know, his behavior description doesn't match his, like, actions. Like, you know,
Right.
here's this well-spoken guy. What if it's not even actually Lucien?
People do think that. People think that it's actually um Tamlin shape-shifting. Like, there's a lot of theories on that.
Well, I mean, you can't be in two places at once. That's not true.
I was like,
Watch a walk to remember.
or I mean, the gods can be in two places at once. And what are High Lords?
Interesting. Interesting thoughts about Lucien. Can't wait to talk about him more
And like,
as we
yeah.
continue to, like, learn more about him.
And I honestly, I don't even think that, yes, there's a lot to still talk about in the rest of the series that's been written and that is released. But I think 6 and 7 is where we're going to get a lot of Lucien lore.
What if
6
that is the perspective we start out with?
is Lucien. Yeah.
Could be anybody. Lucien, Danica. Who knows? I don't know why you're not on board.
Your Danica POV kills me.
Why not? Take a crazy chance. Take a big fucking swings.
And I appreciate it.
Wait till Empyrean. Now I'm going to take every swing.
You want to get yelled at on the internet? Or no, you'll just do it on the podcast and not on social media.
Nobody wants to fight with me here.
No.
Fight with me in the comments. It's fine. I want to get into the mother.
Great. Let's go.
When wedding planning with Ianthe, Feyre looks at her fit and thinks a panel of cloth had been folded up beneath the circlet, a built-in swath meant to be pulled over the brow and eyes when she needed to pray, beseech the cauldron and mother, or just think. And I find this interesting because this is the very first time that Feyre mentions the mother ever, aside from repeating the prayer when stabbing a fae.
Yeah.
Then she was turned and now calls upon her like it was something that she always did as a human. Who is this mother to the forsaken gods? Deep questions for you.
Well, yeah, because when she was still human, she was like, she said something like basically fuck the cauldron. Didn't seem at all interested in any gods. And then I wonder, because she makes those comments of like some deep rooted thing inside me. So maybe when she turned Fae, like all of a sudden those beliefs were in her. You know what I mean? Like some type of change.
It's weird, like no mention ever. Because like the first time she said the mother, I was like, weird, she's never done this. And then I made sure I referenced, and yeah, sure enough, like why mention gods now? Because who is the mother a god to you? Or are you just calling your mother that, who's not with us anymore?
Yeah, she didn't, when she was looking at the mural in book 1, she didn't seem anti-mother by any means, or like, this is bullshit. But yeah, all of a sudden, is it just like her trying to be more Fae? Like
Does
just
she want to
the
fit
mom-
in?
Yeah. Trying to make that happen, but with the mother, I don't know.
I have big breaking news.
Lay it on us.
Okay, I have proof that the mother and Chthona are one. Okay, you ready?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
In Throne of Glass, Fenris says, mother's tits, Rowan, mother's, capital M. In Crescent City, Hunt says, Chthona's tits, obviously capital C, but he says it all the time. And now we have, in A Court of Mist and Fury, saying, mother's tits, Rhys. Cassian saying, mother's tits, Rhys. There is no way the saying across 3 worlds that 2 say mother's tits and 1 says Chthona's tits. Tell me that this doesn't prove that they are all the same. Especially knowing a lot of peeps came from Prythian to Midgard, where Chthona still has a government name and hasn't been forgotten yet.
Interesting point. Interesting point. I mean, in our coverage of A House of Sky and Breath, when Napoleon is giving his family tree, he tells a lore about Chaos, who is the Void's bride. Apollyon calls her his dam, which means mother. So we believe they're in fact the same. Mother, Chaos, Cauldron, and we talked about adding Wyrd and Urd to the mix, like we learned in House Sky and Breath. The old beliefs were a time when Urd was not a goddess, but a force winding the worlds when she was a vat of life, a mother to all, a secret language to the universe. Then, when describing Chthoni's statue, it's carved from black stone. In one arm, a goddess cradled an infant to her bare breast. In the other, an extended orb, Midgard, out in the room, Chthona, birther of worlds. So from when we just talked about the mother, the cauldron, and chaos, it feels like Chthona is one and the same. The dark mother, it's feeling very chaosy. And Chthona is said to be about Mother Earth stuff. She has a dark crown. Chthona goddess means one of the underworld chaos. Apollyon calls her dam, which, like I said, means mother. So it's safe to say they are one. But all of this evidence is just dumb because the one that matters is Chthona and Mother's tits. That's it. That's enough for me.
Case closed. We solved who's who based on fucking jugs. We did it.
You know, I just picture, I can already tell it's raining. I can tell Chthona and Mother are one.
But really, what are the odds that this is a universal saying? You know?
No.
Just
And
truly.
we know that things get changed over time. It makes the most sense.
Truly.
Like all the bullshit proof I said, who gives a fuck? We have Chthona and Mother's tits.
And all
It
these
seems
bad.
silly, but it's real.
I mean, the way that, she's showing off them
Mhm.
jugs all the time throughout Crescent City. She's like, oh, look at these. Look at these tits. They're tits of a mother. That's exactly what Chthona would say.
Birther of worlds. And
Yeah.
I bet you she's down in the underworld, the dark mother with just tits out all the time. Just raring to go.
I hope somebody sends this to SJM and then she's like, fuck, they figured it out.
Yeah. They're like, these deep divers, they know what's up.
We dove deep into those tits.
We motorboated the fuck out of them, okay?
We motorboated that answer loose, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, do we even need to go on with the rest of the episode? That's enough.
It's enough to convince everybody that, like, we know what we're talking about, truly.
We know ball. Yeah. We know magic.
We know balls.
We know tit. Okay? They don't call me Theory's tits for nothing.
I love that people don't know that because I call it behind closed doors.
Well, now you know. Kylie calls me Theory tits.
It's what it says when you pop up. Bleakley Olsen, Theory tits.
You're not wrong. Speaking of tits, let's talk about the night court.
Speaking of round things, in his round chamber.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Speaking of round things, in Rhys's round chamber at the night court with the maps, he has a circular table of black stone that occupied the center. If it's onyx, SJM normally says that. It's giving wyrdstone.
I feel like you could be right with this.
Because onyx is a common word that she uses. And we haven't been introduced to wyrdstone in really anything. We've been introduced to like Gorzian shackles, but
yeah, besides ToG. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And it makes sense that Rhys would have it.
Yeah, because Rhys, we love you, but you're weird.
You got a little bit too much knowledge, my friend. I'll talk about you in a minute.
So, speaking of weirdness with Rhys, when he winnows, have you noticed that there's a difference in winnowing with people? And we know this based on Crescent City because my boy Cormac, who I love, rest in peace, his winnowing... Yeah, his winnowing was different from Bryce's because everybody has to learn it. But Rhys specifically, it says, one of these examples, the darkness roared, a wind tearing me this way and that, the ground falling away beneath me, the world gone around me. Only Rhys remained, and I hated him as it clung to me. I hated him with my entire heart. Then the darkness vanished. That's how Feyre described Rhys's. But when Feyre was saved by more wind winnowing, she said, wind tore at me along with ancient darkness, but a sweeter, softer shade of night caressed me, stroking my nerves, my lungs, until I could get at the last air inside until it seduced me into sleep. I think the night was Rhys, but why was Moore's Winnowing Ancient versus Rhys?
Where does Moore's ancient darkness come from?
It's a really great question. Lots of questions about Moore.
I have a lot of questions about Moore.
But I'm keeping tabs on their winnowing because just like to have an ancient darkness when you winnow is weird. I almost think that winnowing is a form of world walking. I just haven't
I think
figured it out.
I think it is too. I don't think that's crazy at all.
These are the thoughts I normally don't say out loud, but I did today. So I'm glad I'm not alone in this.
No, I think so too. I also think that there's something with how they hide like things in pockets in between realms, and there's weirdness there.
Yeah, because
Which,
what is it really just a purse in the
yeah,
realm?
yeah, do they all just have Mary Poppins purses in there with a bunch of shit in it? Like, I think that it really does play into the multiverse and different realities and timelines, but I digress. We'll get to you later.
More on Rhys's darkness. When Feyre is back at the night court, she talks to Rhys about losing her shit. She asks the darkness, "Is that part of the power you gave me?" Rhys responds with, "One would assume so." That's not confirmation in my eyes. What if that is a mother's gift, capital M? And I mean, it's likely from Rhys, but he didn't give a hard confirmation of yes or no.
I'm not against that. I feel like Rhys is the king of non-answer answers in this book, and it totally makes sense to me. I'm not mad at it because he at least answers some things. He doesn't know where Feyre's loyalties are. He has no idea, as well as her brain is not trained to shield. So I get it, but I think that Rhys gets a little cagey when it comes to his powers. That's not to say that maybe Feyre down the line behind closed doors knows more than we know as readers, but he is very non-answery kind of throughout about powers.
What if it's like not only because he's like cagey, but he's unsure?
I think that's possible. I do think he knows a lot more than he lets on. I feel this way about as well. But yeah,
Just all this darkness reference, it's weird.
Velaris. Can we move here? I really
Yeah, this is actually a shot of my hometown.
I
I
thought
need to
I
go back.
yeah. No Tacoma Roma for you. Nay nay. You big Velaris gal.
For reference, I was born in Tacoma, Washington, and I will never live that down. People I meet
No,
bring it up.
as they should. But so Velaris means veil or hidden. Now we know it's hidden, but I do think there's so much more to this area. It's also called the City of Starlight. Why? Just because it's the Night Court? Now, they existed before the courts had split up. So we know the Starborn power was a thing. Is it called Starlight because of its roots? I just want to add on that the Sidra, which is the river along the city, means the goddess of stars. So when it comes to goddesses and things that we'll continue be tracking with the priestesses and everything in the different lands, I really wonder in Velaris, there's multiple, but like, is there a temple there that has a goddess of stars? Just a thought. So the city's been hidden for 5,000 years. Spells, wards, and my ruthless ancestors who are willing to do anything to preserve peace of goodness in our wretched world. Why do you think they would do that? Now, Thea would have been 15,000 years ago. What happened at 5,000 years to make them do this?
That 5,000 number really gets me. Like, how long do people live? Like, how long are these Fae lives? We know that some of them are over 500 years old. So it's just like, how long was each
Yeah,
person
how
in power?
Roland was really old, right?
Now I'm like questioning how long do they live? How far back is this ruler? Because, like, if Rhys is over 500 years old, how old was his dad? Like, where is he in this lineage?
I just think that it's important to start thinking about because there's so much that's weird about Prithian, of course, but there's a lot in the Night Court that is odd. So it's a pulse check, and we'll all build together. But have you seen the theory that Lorcan has been to Velaris before?
No.
He says in Empire Storms, he'd seen a kingdom, perhaps 300 years ago, that relied on barges to sail its goods from one end to another. Its name eluded him, lost to the catacombs of his memory. Lorcan wondered if it still existed, tucked away between two mountain ranges on the other side of the world. Now, Empire Storms, where this came from, came out the same year as Mist and Fury. So Sarah could have definitely been adding nuggets in for her multiverse. Now, Feyre's description of the city was been built like a crust atop the rolling steep that flanked the river, buildings crafted from white marble or warm sandstone. Ships with sails of varying shapes loitered in the river, the white wings of birds shining brightly above them in midday sun. They're like eternal guardians. From the city towered a wall of flat-topped mountains of red stone, the same stone that had been used to build some structures. The curved northern edge of Velaris, to where the river bent towards them, flowed into the shadow. To the north, different mountains surrounded the city. Across the river, a range of sharp peaks like fish's teeth cleaved the city. See beyond, but these mountains behind me, they were sleeping giants, somehow alive, awake. I don't know. This description's obviously Feyre's is longer because Lorcan doesn't remember much, but just like the giants being alive and awake and like protecting the city almost. So you could think with the two mountain ranges and the fact that Lorcan can't remember, a spell could have been made for him to forget as soon as he leaves. And I think it's possible he could have world walked into a different timeline looking for things for Maeve. Or maybe Prythian did exist in Aurelia world, but we just don't know. Because he says it's across the world.
We will get into that more, the whole across the world thing, and make some connections. But that's an interesting theory. I am not against that at all.
Yeah, I'm not like one way or another, but like she wrote it. It came out the same year.
A little
And
convenient.
two mountain ranges, and just in the catacombs of his mind feels very like there's no need for her to have this little tidbit in the book. Like it wasn't necessary to the story. So I'm like, you're Easter egging.
Which makes me curious because I can't remember the name of the temple that is there. We'll look into that.
Speaking of great warriors, let's talk about Cassian.
So Cassian's blonde, and he's blonde. You made the transition for me. I don't care. He's like a darker blonde, not bright blonde like Elaine's blonde that doesn't actually exist, but Cassian's blonde. I just want to
And
make
like
that
I
known.
said, I think it's because you thought of Cassie's being blonde.
I don't know why that's a thing either, but they're all blondes.
Cassie is a blonde name to me too. I will say I don't picture him blonde. I picture like shoulder length man bun.
I picture him with a man bun. It's just like that darker blonde. It's like my child's
Yeah,
blonde.
mine's like black. Maybe it's because he's Illyrian. That's just what I assume.
Everyone's just tall, little, dark, and handsome to you in the story, except for
Except the ones I don't like.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Cassian's weird too. Once again, the Illyrian. He's a weirdo because Feyre described him being like he'd been made of wind and earth and flame, not to be confused with like singing September or anything. And that's just such a weird way to describe him. It's so elemental.
I have so much to say about Cass, but I have to wait, and it's so annoying. Like we touched on it in our Crescent City coverage, so if you listen to that, you probably know where I'm going. But you pointing this out furthered me to go on a spiral, and I can't even fucking talk about it. So I'm pissed about it.
Look.
I actually can't even really fully go into it till Aquar, and it's eating me alive.
But it's okay because we have other things to talk about, but just we'll put a pin in it. But think about that blonde Cassian being a little elemental.
The elemental in general is interesting, but yeah.
Okay, so another dark hottie. Asriel has dark hair. In my mind, he actually does have dark hair. Just want to point that out. He's tan, dark, and handsome.
Okay.
Tall as well.
Yes. They usually are.
Hear me out.
Okay.
him and Rhys made a baby, and Feyre was their carrier, their womb room, and their
Okay.
baby is actually Rune. Rune Dannon, to clarify.
Thanks for the last name. That you are really taking big swings with this coverage. You're just going for it.
Why not? Why not? They made this beautiful baby, Rune, who's similar to them with shadows. Just explains so much. The Thottim King is just not his dad. I mean, he is, but I think it's Rhys and Azriel.
I love your imagination.
Azriel's just, I mean, you never know. He's a weirdo. Like, what is
Yeah.
he? Because he goes, the prison sentries know me. What I am. What are you?
So what does
Besides
that
Rune's other dad.
like? What does that mean?
Like, why would obviously he's gone there and they know like he's homies with Rhys because there are a bunch of gossips at the prison, but like what I am, why would they like be a little bit more afraid or whatever?
It
For what?
could be a throwaway to like Spy Master or Shadow Singer. Totally. But it's just interesting phrasing.
Because we have so many questions about Azriel and like how he's
We
just
know
the
so
oldest
little.
Rhysy boy. So like, what's with him?
We literally know so little. Literal? We know so literal. Nothing. Little. Mm. We know so little about Az, is what I was trying to say. Good fucking Lord.
And while Cassian is described with wind, we know Azriel is described with ice. Like Feyre describes his siphon. I watched the light shift inside the sapphire siphon. Siphon?
Siphon.
Instead, as if it were just the great eye of some half slumbering beast from a frozen wasteland. Okay, so what if they both have like some sort of elemental magic trapped in there, just like the fire sprites in Crescent City?
It's possible. Also, like half slumbering beast from a frozen wasteland is so specific.
That's fucking weird. Like, why would you say that, Feyre?
And you're a human. Like, you don't know anything about frozen wastelands, really. So, like, what are you talking about?
Frozen wastelands, like the frozen wastes?
Yeah, and like we know that there is frozen wastelands on the continent. She hasn't been. So it's just like when she was remade, like your catch on her talking about the mother, does she just have like inherent knowledge now because she got the other High Lord's power? Like, was knowledge put into her as well? Like, it's weird.
We know she's reading a lot more, but like, what
Right.
is I guess, what are you reading in those libraries? Like, I don't think she's reading anything intricate yet. She's like, I don't think she went from a kindergarten level to like high
Yeah,
school.
I think she's reading Babysitter's Club.
Boxcar children,
It always comes back to those two.
I'm just so curious about the story. Okay, and I really need to get it off of Libby because it's a 2-hour listen.
Okay. You
And
should.
and I'm gonna report back on how it ties in to A Court of Mist and Fury.
Can't wait. Really. Ugh.
Just moving down the line of the inner circle weirdos.
Truly.
Amarin. Amarin. Her power was felt as even the High Lord at my side felt like a wisp of a shadow compared to the power thrumming from her. And Rhys stated he is sometimes tempted to unleash his power across the world and wipe the board clean just to buy some damn peace. That's a lot of power. Like knowing he's the most powerful High Lord and she felt that from Amarin just like wafting off her. Also, like, so what else can that boo do? But how powerful is Amarin? How powerful is she truly?
It's really unclear because even that comment about Rhys feeling a wisp of a shadow compared to Amarin, I think Rhys is really dampens his powers the majority of the time, and he's really good about it. I mean, when Bryce met both of them, she says that she's never felt this power before except maybe around this dairy, referring to Rhys. So but she didn't say that about Amarin. So it's just like this weird
That's
said
post ACO War for
Right.
Amren, so that's why she didn't sense it.
Yeah. It's
But Amren is initially, like, more powerful than Rhys. That's crazy.
well,
Which I have more questions on Amren. She had, like, we know that Hunt from Crescent City is a Starry Hellboy created, and he was, our lightning lord. Why did Amren have lightning in her eyes? Leashed lightning in those bad boys. It's weird.
it is weird. Yeah, because I just from, what we've read about Amren and just like Crescent City, I always see her more Asteria adjacent, but like with the lightning, it's weird.
Yeah, it was
But I mean,
leashed
one
lightning
of
in her eyes.
yeah, because one of the princes of hell, like
It's weird, like the little things, because we know that SJM has said that she is a biblical angel, but is she going to be rewritten? It's really fucking hard to find that. It took me forever to find that,
yeah, that
the proof
reference.
of it. And
Yeah,
so it's like, is this going to be rewritten, or was SJM just fucking throwing us all for a loop? And Amren's going to be, but Amren also changes later.
it could be like that was the best way for SJM in her head to describe it to people that aren't in her world at this time. But I don't. Amren's relationship with the Daglin Asteri is definitely something we will continue talking about. We talked about it a lot during Crescent City, but I do believe she was an Asteri pet.
I'm going to build on that because Amren is described as she might be older than this city, but she's vain and likes to hoard her baubles and belongings like a fire drake in a cave. To be honest, I didn't know what the fuck a fire drake was. I was like, what is this? And so I looked it up. A fire drake is a European type of dragon stemming from sightings of a shooting star and will-o-wisp phenomenon said to appear as sparkling streaks of fire in the sky. The association with dragons appears variously across Europe to some extent. Similar beings also appear in other parts of the world. And that's weird, which we'll get into will-o-wisp for a second, but why is she compared to a fire drake?
And like, I think I get the reference to just like fire drakes and dragons. I always think of what Smog in Lord of the Rings, hiding all of his jewels and everything. But yeah, why that reference? And I will wait to talk about Amren and this is a great catch of just bringing that into the table.
Because she's mentioned as a fire drake multiple times. And so we can definitely continue to talk about it in the next episode. But Amren's weird. Amren's weird. They're all
Yeah,
weird.
I I think Amren will just be fun to talk about continuously. ACOTAR, she gives us a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Maybe we'll actually get her backstory.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Well, I think they're gonna find out a lot. Remember how freaking weird that she was acting anytime Thea was mentioned or the Steri and
I think that which is why it is important to read Crescent City before these books.
go check out our deep dives. We really get it.
We never address will-o-wisps in the first book of ACOTAR, so we're going to let you know that they usually appear as small flickering lights. They may glow blue, yellow, or pale white, and often seem to dance or hover just above the ground. Although it resembles a lantern or a torch, it never stays for long. They're known for leading travelers astray, and as a person follows the light, it retreats, always staying just out of reach. In many tales, the light vanishes at the worst possible moment, leaving the traveler lost at the edge of water or cliffs. And then Feyre and Tammy watched them dance. What if the wisps led them astray that night and everything was all a dream?
Maybe. They're called Wisps in that Pixar movie, right? With the redhead.
You're going to have to be a little bit more specific.
Brave.
Oh, I'm pretty
Will
sure. Yeah.
Will the Wisps, yeah, and Brave. And they take her to where she's supposed to be.
I just thought, like, well, that's weird, the blue light. So really, what if this was all a dream and, like, Adis and Crescent City, not real with the blue light?
It's a thought.
It's not what I believe, but why not?
It's a thought. Well, we're just anytime blue light is mentioned, we're on high
It's
alert.
weird. It's weird because there's all the references and they're so specific.
Well, you and I have both listed multiple different blue light things that were like different. There's so much blue light, and it's almost always hell based.
You know who else might be hell based? More. Okay. More, once again, we have a lot of suspicions about more. And I will say, like, during this book, like, she is warm and welcoming. You didn't like her off the bat, but her, like, bullying Rhys on his interaction with Feyre, like, made me laugh initially. Like, I didn't mind her. It's just as the story progresses, I get more suspicious. And now that we're rereading it more during family dinner, she's dressed to the nines, and I think Maeve would have been impressed. The jewels, the red gown, all perhaps a way to downplay whatever dark power roiled in her veins. So girlfriend dress is really nice, but she's got some dark power in her.
2 different dark power references from Feyre, Winnowing and this.
Like, why is Moore's power described as dark constantly? Like, why does Feyre know what a dark power feel? Well, I guess we have Amarantha. Okay, so think about her experiences with dark power and why is she referencing more like that?
Well, we believe Amarantha is most likely Valg. I really like my spider theory. I'm
Yeah,
going
I
with
am Karen Kui,
it.
yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's how she's able to sense it. And because she's got all this High Lord in her, that she's able to has like a little radar for it.
That her family once ruled the North. And like we skirt on by that all the time. So I'm just wondering, is the next perspective like starting with her POV because Sarah J. Maas went north to right?
Most people are thinking Terracent, but that would be an interesting, like deep little Easter egg if that's what she was doing. Just because North is up, the Night Court is in the North, but and more POV. I think we will get a more POV.
I
I
do
do.
too, because there's just so much alluding to more, which
Yeah.
we'll get into it the
Well,
next 2 books. Well, we do get a more point POV
yeah, we
in Frost and Starlight, which don't sleep on the book. Can't wait to dive into that one, guys. But no, Moore's family. So this place was made before High Lords existed, before Prythian was Prythian, stuff in referencing to the prison. Some of the inmates remember those days. Remember a time when it was Moore's family, not mine, that ruled the North. And I just want to know, is Moore actually King Theon's descendant? Like Rhys is her cousin in the loosest definition, but they were raised together and she is his only surviving family.
which Fionn had golden hair, so we know Moore's blonde. And then this whole thing really gets murky once we get to Aquar. So I am unclear on this with the Fionn and who the relations are to.
It's hard to even put a family tree because we don't know like how long people live and like when the next successor took over. There's a lot. Starborn comes from Thea's side, so that explains Rhys. We know this, but Thea and Fionn had kept their love a secret through the years, knowing the Daglin would find it amusing to tear them apart if they learned of the affair. Celine tells us this in chapter 19 of Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow. Maybe Fionn had a public-facing relationship so that Asteri didn't know. I just don't think we talk about how Moore's family once ruled the North enough. And during our CC coverage, I thought it was fucking weird.
What if Fionn was banging Thespie?
Or Bespy made him bang her.
Take a page out of Amarantha Maeve's playbook.
Because, like, how was Moore made? Moore is who all call in when the armies fail and Cassian and Azriel are both dead. Because, like, is she a test tube baby too? What if she's a product of Adis? She's really fucking powerful. She tells us, I was born stronger than anyone in my family, even the males. And I couldn't hide it because they could smell it, the same way you could smell a High Lord's air before he comes to power. The power leaves a mark, an echo. And the moment my first blood came, my power awoke in full force, and even that goddamn mountain trembled around us. Like, holy fuck, that's powerful. But aside from like truth and winnow, like what else can Moore do?
I mean, I think she's a damn witch, but just the fact that she has dark power, what do witches say? Darkness claims us. And for those who are with us during CC Deep Dive, we talk about the Morgan and Morgan Le Fay lore, and trust me, we will continue to get into that. But one common denominator in Moore mythology is that she's often a shapeshifter and a prophet. So for everyone that is like, what does the power of truth even fucking mean? Is it possible she's a prophet and we just haven't seen those powers yet?
What are prophets also known as?
Yeah.
Seers.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's, and just, I've always looked at the whole cousins in the loosest sense of terms as like a multiple meaning thing, because I think Rhys does have that dog in him. He's got Valg. And then I think Moore also is a witch. So Valg, cousins in the loosest sense of the word, that's a possible connection.
which I don't know if I get into this one or next one, but yeah, we definitely expand on that.
I just, I'm really trying not to hate on Moore the entire time. So I'm trying not to jump right into suspicious. I mean, I'm trying, but I am suspicious.
And then we're pointing all this shit out. You're trying not to be suspicious, but I'm like, here's this darkness.
But also, I think it's weird that her and Rhys are like the same age. They say that they're the same age. So why, when power comes to be from the mother and who decides who gets that power, why did she choose those two to have such large powers?
Maybe they're actually twins, but were born in different wombs.
They're like Luke and Leia. Not, they're the same womb, but maybe.
Maybe S Jam is like really, really into Star Wars.
I mean, we've discussed this a lot in Crescent City.
Where's Jabba the Hutt? That's Tamlin. He shapeshifts into the big old worm. I think that Feyre would have more sexual tension with Jabba the Hutt than she did Tamlin. I just want to throw that out there because she would have more with him, just like she had more sexual tension with Rhys when she's playing Runaway Bride than when Tammy and her are actually fucking.
I'm a sucker for banter, so the wittiness between those two, big fan.
No wits between the fucking Tammy and Feyre.
No, like, even when she makes a couple jokes in the first book, he's just like tickled by it, but he doesn't dish it back out.
We don't even get to know Feyre in book one and like her wit and stuff because Tammy like shuts her down.
So let's continue building the case for Rhys being other. It is said he has icy, glittery rage. We get him described as cold and icy a few times in these chapters, and I just have to say it's giving Prince of Hell Valg to me. Now, we have a shit ton of evidence for this, but one thing I want to talk about is when Feyre is meeting the inner circle for the first time, she asks them if they're brothers. Right before that, Cassian makes fun of him for dressing fancy tonight, brother, referring to Rhys. Rhys responds to Feyre's question, brothers in the sense that all bastards are brothers of sorts. But my question is how is Rhys a bastard? We allegedly know his mom and dad, unless the lovely Princes of Hell went to Rhys's mom like they went to Hunt's, and Rhys is a test tube demon baby.
Everybody gets a seed.
Yeah. Sarah said Rhys is one of one. So does that mean he's Illyrian, which we know from Crescent City were made by the Daglin? Asteri Daglin because he's starborn, which for those that didn't listen to our coverage, I believe the Asteri created starborn, whatever his dad is. And then he's got that dog in him. Prince of Hell. I just mentioned earlier that Bryce, when she first saw Rhys, this is what she said: power like the witch she'd never encountered, at least other from the Steri. I just think it's weird, the bastard comment, and we just breeze on by. Like, are we just talking about like bastard because of being assholes? It doesn't feel like that.
I mean, the technical term, like, were his parents not married? Like, do they care about that shit in Prythian? And I don't
Like,
think they do.
they were mates. I think that's more than marriage, is
It
what they
is.
say.
And so
Yeah,
it's like, it's weird that he would call himself a bastard. That's a really wild catch.
right. Like, I had never noticed that before
It,
because
it's weird.
it's weird, right? I also want to point out, to understand Rhys and his decisions throughout the entire series, you need to keep this line he says in mind. I love my people and my family. Do not think I wouldn't become a monster to keep them protected. So just know this is his operating system. He is morally gray. I do think he feels guilt about it, but he will always do what needs to be done to protect his people and family, even if that threat is inside the house. Keep that in mind as we continue to read, people. I just thought that this line was like, this is Rhys to his core.
And it does explain a lot about his relationship with Nesta, which we'll
In the
get
future.
into.
Yeah.
Rhys, I want to talk about his fits.
Fair. I think
So
we should talk about fashion more.
absolutely, we will. I have a lot to say about fashion in this in the next episode. But in chapter 43 of Crescent City, House of Flame and Shadow, I talked about Morbin's fit. The delicate silver embroidery along the wrist and collar of his immaculately cut black jacket gleaming in the firelight. And I was like, have we seen this jacket before? Sure have. Now in chapter 15, we see Rhys clothed in black, accented with silver thread. We see this jacket again in Frost and Starlight. That's not a big spoiler, guys. It's just a coat. But did Rhys donate the jacket to the Goodwill and Morby picked it up? Or is it like they have a special tailor for their bloodline? Because why does this black jacket with the fucking silver thread make several appearances?
For the people that believe Reese's mom
Is Feyre and no.
is is Rune's mom, Lauren, and she created those fits for them. You could talk about that, but I mean, they lived on different areas. Well, she's from Avellan, so
And she's a weirdo too.
yes. I mean, I think that one's a little bit of a stretch, but I know a lot of people believe it. It could happen.
But it's just weird that that jacket and that
Why?
style keeps popping up. And I know I pointed it out, and it is weird because it's just a fucking jacket. But also, why?
Why?
Is it the magical jacket, the High Lord jacket? You put it on, and you're High Lord.
Yeah, and they like write what happens to them, how their summer was, the Sisterhood of the Traveling High Lord jacket.
Oh my
Like,
god! And it fits everyone.
no matter what, which
Magically.
makes sense. I picture Morby fat, even if he's not.
I just never pictured him hot.
No, like plain for a Fae.
Yeah, I pictured him looking older, but just not great. He's no Thottim King. Any excuse to bring up the Thottim King.
What? Yeah,
I love him.
I know. You brought up the Thottim King and Morven, which, you know, a nightmare to some. And Feyre's nightmares are interesting. She has one that is similar to the second trial when she's under the mountain. And she says, I might cry out for my mother, who never cared for me anyway, beg her to save me. How would her mother save her? What powers does her mother have? Isn't she just this rich woman? Like, and I get a mom would save a child or should. I just thought the weird dream that Sarah wrote in here.
Yeah, why would she call out for her mother when we know she's got a shitty relationship? Like, even in the worst of times, like that, as somebody who's estranged, like that would never be my thought.
No, and like, this is how was she protect her against Amarantha? How?
That's weird.
Okay, thank you.
Suspicious.
Thank you for saying because I was like, this is odd.
So Feyre visits another weirdo in this series, the Bone Carver. And we always have questions. There's no shortage here. But today I would like to ask just this one question. Why did he have to be buried so deep? He was buried past this. He was buried on the cage beneath the roots of the mountain. Like, that's deep. Roots? That's
The
solid.
roots of the mountain. My question is, how far under the mountain? How close to Vesperus is the bone carver? Evil is always lurking beneath. There's also no doubt in my mind the bone carver absolutely knows Vesperus is there.
Well, yeah, the prison is a bunch of fucking
Yeah.
gossips. There's no way that they don't know.
Even if she's way down below, that feels very close to Vespi.
Yeah, so interesting. Why so deep? That's what she said.
Thank you.
The bone carver's gates, also very interesting. It said, like the gates above, it was ivory bone. And in the surface were etched countless images, flora and fauna, seas and clouds, stars and moons, infants and skeletons, creatures fair and foul. There's another set of gates like the bone carvers. In Tower of Dawn, the courtyard of the palace had ornate arches and pillars had been carved with flora and fauna, the palace rising up behind them like a leviathan. The city is also known as the God City. It's just an interesting bit of tid.
It is. Now, a common theory is the bone carver is in fact the god of truth and throne of glass. Reminder, Kale didn't think there was a god of truth, so some might call him forgotten. Adian said he was more of a sin eater because people would confess their sins on the bones of other sinners. In this temple, the language changes and gets older and older the farther they go in, which the bone carver is old, so it could fit. He also collects bones. And Rhys's first rule was never lie. Okay, God of truth. Now we can continue to build on this the farther we get in this book and series. But even when they leave, Rhys says, well, the bone carver's a busybody into gossip. And it's like, God of truth, writing sins. It's possible.
And once again, there is 12 temples scattered throughout the land. There are 12 gods that were exiled from Throne of Glass. And so it's just what temple is near Velaris or near the Night Court, because there's got to be several territories where there's more than one temple. So interesting. But yeah, we'll continue to build on that one.
Especially that one. There's a lot in book 3.
What if when Feyre was looking at the bone carver, she was actually looking at Rune? Just obsessed with Rune Dannon today. Full government name. I don't know why. But I fucking love Crescent City, so that's why.
You do. Maybe it's Rune. But why do you think they see different things? Like, why do you think Rhys sees Jurian?
Well, let's go back to the God of Truth. He's showing some truthful moment for them. That's her future. Rune Dannon, truth.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of people are like, well, maybe that's how it has to do with death. I could see that with arguments for that, but I'm like, no, I don't know. It's weird.
Maybe it's just an honest future. He's showing them something honest in their life, and she's gonna have a baby boy, and that's honest. I don't know. Just try and tie it in with truth. The bone carver also has a unique trait about him. He has cobalt blue fire in his eyes. We don't see that in anybody's eyes.
No, that's weird. And I agree. It feels hellish to me. In the Maasverse, we get descriptions in fire in one's eyes, usually cold fire. Just want to point out the astronomer from CC has cold fire in his eyes, as well as Aelin, Bryce, and someone else later in the series. Cold fire is considered to be from the stars, which is giving Starborn. While I don't believe the bone carver is Starborn, I think he's from the void, but we'll talk about that a lot more in ACOTAR. But it's just cobalt blue.
So specific.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why cobalt? Why flames at all? Going back to his gates, it's a pale carved gate stood in its place, so their high tops were lost to the mist. Gates of bone. We know mist equals thin place, and we know a lot about the prison thanks to Crescent City. But why do these gates open to a black that is so inky? Feyre had seen nothing like it, even at the Great Wolf Lodge.
It's giving void.
Because is it words? Like, we know thanks to Crescent City, like what happened, but like, is it actually, once again, a word date? Are they walking through another dimension?
Yeah. Like different time and place. Like when Celine's there later in Crescent City, is that a different time?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, that is just, it's so inky.
They also say the prison is in the heart of the Western Isles. And I really have a question about the amount of isles that are there. Or are some hidden and will possibly sprout back up after Bryce did her thing? The end of Crescent City, I really do believe there will be a ripple effect in ACOTAR. We'll see that in ACOTAR 6. But like they don't talk about surrounding isles, really.
No, so
They
is it
talk
just
about the
one?
prison. Is it just one and there used to be isles, but they just call it?
Well, they said the prison is law unto itself. The island may even be an eighth court, but it falls under my jurisdiction. The blood is key to the gates. But like, why is there might even be an eighth court? Why would you even be suspicious of that?
Because he knows. Rhys knows.
He's got to be bound in some way.
Like you're not able to talk about it.
Yeah. Which, once again, with what we know about Moore's family ruling the North, how did Rhys's family acquire it from hers? Like, with all, as in, how did their bloodlines cross so that Rhys is key to the land and not more? And after Bryce does her handiwork in Flame and Shadow, how does this affect Rhys here?
What if Celine and Helena's actual baby daddy isn't Fionn and it's Adis, and the theory that Rhys being a test tube baby, maybe that's why it works. Because she has it keyed to her son, could get to the land. So is it 80 baby?
Yeah, it's like, where does Moore's bloodline fit into all of this? God, it's just so weird. We are going to touch on the Cauldron just a little bit. We're not going to pour too much into that one today. So the feet were hidden at 3 different temples, Cesare, Sangrava, and Ithaca. Why these 3 locations? Like, is there something special about those 3 temples that they would hide those there?
I know. I don't know. I even looked up their names to see if they give us a little clue, and not really. But so Ithaca, or Ithaca or Ithaca.
I just say Ithaca because I think of
Oh,
Ithaca, New York.
great. Ithaca means one who's eloquent. And how did you say the other one? Cecile.
Cesare.
Cesare means, oh yeah, because it comes from Caesar. Cesare means blue-gray eyes, which we happen to know sisters with that eye color. And this isn't a direct translation for Sangrava, but in Hindi, Sangra means collection or deposit.
What if Cesare, the blue gray eyes, is alluding to like Nesta's eye color and the mother of some sort, and that's her temple?
Maybe. Also, doesn't Ianthe have blue-gray robes?
Mm-hmm. It's the color of the priestess robes.
Hmm.
So it really doesn't give us much.
Yeah, because so Feyre and Nesta both have the blue-gray eyes. And doesn't Elaine have the mother's or the father's eyes, the brown?
I think
I'm
so.
almost positive. So it's just interesting that the two, it probably means nothing,
No.
but I was trying to figure something out and not much. But the
Because
blue-gray eye, I was like,
the temples are weird, their locations are weird. Why choose to hide at all these? I think we're going to come back to the temples like in the next act. We do talk about temples, but not. I think we'll come back to them in book 6 and like learn.
well, we know that the Daglin hid powers all throughout the land. So I'm wondering if under temples there's things as well. Like I know the mountains was their main place for that. But I'm like, I wonder what's under these temples, what makes them special, like you said.
We're just going to be archaeologists. Whoa, words are hard.
Archaeologists.
I don't even, how did I just say that?
I don't know. It wasn't right, but it wasn't like fully wrong. It was just the way you said it, I think. Archaeologist.
It's
I
a,
don't think you did the
I
all
did a
in it.
list in there. Archaeologist. I don't know. Temples are weird. Geography for 100 though. We're moving on in Jeopardy.
I love it.
In the heart of Prythian, there's a large empty territory that divides the north and the south. At the center of it is our sacred mountain. It's interesting that in the middle of Prythian is this lawless land, and in the center is their sacred mountain. Why is the divide there, and why is their sacred mountain there in the lawless land?
Do you think this is where the cauldron first spilled out?
And made it unlaw. You can't have a law there. There's none. Not one.
Not one law. Not one law to be had, you know?
I mean, there
So,
is laws like protecting big weaves, but we'll get to that.
mhm. I don't know. Prythian is just so fucking weird. Like, I have fun facts. So, Prythian is the Welsh term for Britain, and Hybern comes from Ireland's ancient name, Hibernia. And if you look at in maps that are shown, they do look similar to Britain and Ireland. And let's keep going with fun facts. So, there's a series that takes place in Prythian. And you guys, I have to tell you all about this. So, put on your ADH hats and enjoy. Chronicles of Prythian is a 5-part children's series author Lloyd Alexander wrote. 5 novels take place in Prythian, a fictional country ruled by a high king who oversees several minor kingdoms. The setting is based on Wales and is inhabited by creatures and characters inspired by Welsh mythology and folklore. The series follows the protagonist, Taryn, a youth of unknown parentage, living on a farm with an old enchanter named Dalvin and a farmer named Call. Cares for Call. Taryn, who dreams of being a great hero, is named Assistant Pigkeeper and tasked with helping to care for and protect Hen Wen, a white oracular pig magically powered with clairvoyance. Taryn has a series of adventures where he helps protect the land of Prythian from various threats, chief among them evil Arwan, whose forces include an undead army known as Cauldron born. Throughout the novels, Taryn's major companions are the prince, can't say it, and Bard, wild beastman Gurgi, and the dwarf Dolly. The heroes frequently work alongside Fairfolk, a society of elves and similar beings, and the warriors known as the Son of Dawn. Along with various battles against forces of evil, the novel focuses on Taryn's journey of maturity. I'm sorry. There's some similarities here that are a little weird.
So this is a children's story?
Yeah, 5-part series.
So SJM really loved this child story and was like, I'm going to make it adult.
I wouldn't be surprised if she took some of it.
What if she didn't
Like
even know this existed at all and was just pure coincidence?
Maybe. The Cauldron born
Little weird.
evil R1.
That's weird.
Yeah. And then we're talking about oracles, which you and I both have a lot of thoughts about oracles and things in this Maasverse itself. Just odd. So that's your ADHD spiral I had at 5 o'clock this morning.
Love it.
Mhm.
I want to track these books down.
Just to start reading, see if there's any nuggets.
Oh my God. What if?
Like, these are famous books. They won like the Newbery Award and stuff.
Not the worst idea. Not on my priority list, though.
But we've had worse ideas.
You know, it's a great idea.
What?
Talking about big weaves, the Weaver. And I respect the shit out of the Weaver. I want this known. It is most items will never be retrieved because High Lords do not dare be caught, thanks to the laws that protect her, thanks to her wrath. Like, she's such a bitch that they made laws specifically for her to protect her, like mad respect. This lawless land has laws for her.
Just for her. Because whatever she's doing is important.
Yeah, also fucking weird. And she's near that sacred mountain in that middle territory. What if it's actually governed by like gods and we just can't talk about it?
I'm trying not to say things, so keep going.
But Big Weaves reminds me of the bag lady from Labyrinth. I don't know why, but it's because she described her as an immortal hoarder, but she's just the bag lady from Labyrinth.
What else is there? Like, what else do you think is hiding?
I like tried to look at like some of the crowns and stuff that were mentioned. I couldn't find any not
The
that matched up. Like there was one that had Jasper in it, but it's just I think there's more to her, but I don't think we'll ever get all the info on her.
no.
I think we'll get tids of bits here and there.
I mean, there's a lot of lore about her, but we'll see what rings true.
I think it's interesting that her crib was described as a small whitewashed cottage with a thatched roof and a half crumbling chimney sat in the center. Ordinary, almost mortal. Naturally, I'm like, where have we seen this cottage before? And in chapter 4, Heir of Fire, when we meet Man in Blackbeak for the first time, she is sat on a thatched roof of a whitewashed cottage where she trapped and killed 3 men. Both Manon and the Weaver oiled the hinges. These little behaviors are so similar between Manon and the Weaves. I just have so many questions about the Weaver. Like when Feyre threw a brick at her face and she had black blood. We know black blood is Valg associated, so that's just an interesting trait about this gal right off the bat.
Very voidy. Yes.
Just she's a weird one, and she's singing this song with a honeyed voice. It's an ancient, horrible song about this girl who drowns her sister. And what is it? Some guy comes back and then builds a instrument with her body parts.
So my handler was definitely confused about my Google search yesterday. Sister murders other sister and turns into an instrument. And alas, there was things. Did you know there's a ballad called The Two Sisters? It's a folk song that has European origins with multiple different versions. But the gist of the song is about a jealous sisters who are being two-timed from a suitor. Get this, there's a third sister that is mentioned but plays no significant role in the events. Why'd they call Elaine out like that? Like,
I didn't know that there was a third sister. I didn't look too much. Like, I looked at the story, but didn't see that. That's crazy.
The older sister is considered dark, and the younger is fair, which means Feyre, you know. In this, someone makes a harp out of the girl's bones. Interesting choice of instrument. In some variants, it is a fiddle. Just want to throw that out there. Then, in different variants, the dead girl's broken body is brought back to life. Okay, Feyre.
What if the Weaver is weaving that tale in another timeline?
Right. And she, like, can kind of sense Feyre, but acts like she doesn't and is telling her story.
It's weird. It's also
the things that we have to fucking Google or that we choose to Google while deep diving is wild.
I don't put anything on private mode anymore. My Google searches are out there. It is what it is because it's not like your private searches are actually private. So I might as well just Google the weird shit. And I do.
And we do, yeah.
So my question, one of the many, is why did Rhys's mom have any sort of ability to just chat with the Weaver? So Rhys's mother gave it to Rhys as a keepsake and then took the ring back when he reached maturity and gave it to the Weaver for safekeeping. How does one's mom just give her a ring?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Rhys's mom doesn't make sense to me at all, and I have a lot of suspicions. Let's talk about one of them. So remember Sarah said in an interview discussing mates, and sometimes people are wrongly put together. It sounds like this is an example of that with Rhys's dad and his mother, because he even says like his mom starts hating him shortly after they've been together. And to add to the test tube demon baby thing, he says his mother was low born. She was also a Lyrian with their ass backwards thinking. She always wanted Rhys to be able to defend himself in all the ways, so she tutored him every night. Something is different about her, and I think she knew more than she let on. Perhaps she had a source, a prince of hell, maybe, feeding her what info to tell Rhys and what info he would need. Now, we'll talk a lot more about Illyrians and their lore in the next few episodes, but while researching for Crescent City, I found out that Illyrians had an interesting relationship with witches, specifically oracles. Oracles, similar to the Greeks, Illyrians consulted oracles to communicate with gods and receive prophetic messages. These oracles, often priestesses, would enter a trance-like state and convey divine guidance to those seeking answers. So I wonder, did Rhys's mom receive prophetic message and was in contact with the gods or princes of hell? We'll circle back to this connection, but it could be an answer to why Rhys's mom knows so much and that bastard comment from earlier. But like, one, why would this low-born have all this knowledge, respectfully? Doesn't make any sense.
This lowborn seamstress.
Yeah.
We will get more into her, but God, all Sarah Janet, just a little weirdo with how she writes.
I do also think, like, her knowing or having the ability to give it to the Weaver, like you brought up, is weird. Why would she think that would be necessary? So, like, he doesn't waste it is kind of the comment. But, like, also if we look at Feyre's mom and what we've talked about with them, like, why did she make the youngest promise to keep them together and everything? Like, both of the mothers are odd.
Their moms are weird. Like, what again? Why would she give? How could she even give the ring to the Weaver? There's laws to protect her. This lady's mean. She's not nice. Like, how can she
She wants to kill everybody. So, like, how does one give something?
Lot
I
of
mean, in high
questions.
won't even go there. But if you're a witch, are you able to go? Does she not kill her kind?
Interesting. Can't wait to talk more about her in the next book.
I know. Ugh. But I don't know. I feel like we get a little bit more proof of test tube baby for Rhys. Between Moore's family situation, his blood being on the gate, and then his mom being a weirdo. The bastards, like, come on.
And yeah, well, we're gonna continue to build on this because there's
What we
so
do.
much, and I can't wait for the next episode because there's obviously even more.
So thanks for giggling with us through our journey. We have new episodes every Wednesday. Join us next week as we get into part 2, chapters 24 through 46.
Make sure you hit that follow button wherever you listen so you never miss out on a new episode. And then head on over to our social media for our latest updates, theories, and more. New book goofing. All links are in our info, you giggling gal pals.